Now, in the King James Bible, John 3:16 in the KJV and NIV have a difference between how they refer to the relationship between God and Christ. All right, KJV is His only begotten Son. We all know that, we don't have to turn there. But in NIV, it is His one and only Son. So this person asks, I'm wondering if you may clarify about the significance of the only begotten Sonship of Christ and how this difference in translation would have undermined this. Also, what are some other lessons we should learn and apply from this? So the other lessons we should learn and apply from this are for you all, right? So, now the theological question. Yes, it is true that NIV interprets His one and only Son, KJV, only begotten Son. Now, what is the Greek word? Greek word is monogenes. Those of you who take FEBC course is not uncommon to you. Monogenes. Right, like mono or stereo, right? Mono, one, genes. Genes has to do with generation, right? Generation. Now, does it have any significance, one and only? Now, I want you to think about this first and foremost. All right? First and foremost, is it accurate to say Christ is God's one and only Son? Phoebe, is it accurate to say Jesus Christ is God's one and only Son? Because the word is monogenes, both monogenes, but they translate one and only Son. Is it correct, theologically? Correct. Okay, maybe I ask your sister, Elisha. Is it correct to translate, is Jesus Christ God's one and only Son? Don't want to answer. Don't get trouble with sister, okay? Yifei, what do you think? Is it correct Jesus is God's one and only Son? Okay, you want to ask. Okay, let me ask boys. Matthew, last one, quickly. Is it correct to say Jesus Christ is God's one and only Son? No. Why? You mean you are also God's Son? Because Jesus Christ what? It's because it's part of a Trinity. All right, let's turn to 1 John 3:2. 1 John 3:2. Where are all the other children? Nathan, is Jesus Christ God's one and only Son, Nathan? Yes. Oh, Jonathan, welcome back. What do you think? Mommy, what's it? Yes, also. All right, let's turn to 1 John 3:2. I'm sorry, I haven't turned there. Can you read 1 John 3:2 aloud quickly? 1, 2, reading. All right, so this is just one of the few verses in the Bible that tells us that we are God's sons as well. All right, so is Jesus Christ, is it accurate to translate monogenes as Jesus is God's one and only Son? It is not true. We are also sons of the living God. So it is not an accurate translation, confuses, and theologically not sound. So that is one problem. Now, so this person asks, now wondering, but what is the significance? Does it affect the begotten sonship? Now, how does it undermine the begotten sonship? Now, I want you to also turn to Luke chapter 7. Now, I just read to you, all right? We don't have enough time. I just read to you. Luke 7:12. You can just copy it. Now, when he came nigh to the gate of the city, behold, there was a dead man carried out, the only son of his mother. Now, this word, the only son of his mother, is monogenes. Then in Luke 8:42, for he had one only daughter. Also monogenes, all right? Only one only daughter. Luke 9:38. Then he say, I beseech you, look upon my son, for he is my only child. Also monogenes. Now, why is it that now monogenes, all these are monogenes, but it's translated as simply only, which is correct, only. It means one son. My only child. Now, it's correct for them to translate as only because it's this really the only child. It's not like sons of God. We are all sons of God. Now, but is it correct to say that the only time, only begotten son, all right? Only begotten son refers to only Jesus Christ. Means the term only begotten son, because only son refers to only son, right? The term only begotten son refers only to Jesus Christ. Wow. Eugene? No, what I mean is, in the whole Bible, the only begotten son, that translation, because monogenes can be translated as only, that's all. And in Jesus Christ's case, translators translate as only begotten son. Is it that this English words, the only begotten son, only applies to Jesus Christ in the Bible? Only, okay. Jason? Say again? Yeah, it talks about the nature of Christ, but my question is not that. Okay, last one. Han, is it only applied in translation to Jesus Christ, only begotten Son? Only. Okay, let's turn to Hebrews chapter 11, verse 17. Hebrews 11, 17. Hebrews 11, 17. Hebrews 11, 17. Okay, let's read together. 1, 2, reading. By faith, Abraham, when he was tried, offered up Isaac, and he that had received the promises offered up his only begotten son. So, in Isaac's case, the translators did translate only begotten son. In all the cases of Luke, in the places in Luke where it was only son, they translate as only son or only daughter. Now, let me ask you, is Isaac really Abraham's only son? Pei, since your son is Isaac. Is Isaac Abraham's, not your Isaac, obviously, is Isaac Abraham's only son? No, right? No, he had a son by another wife. So, what is it about? Now, you see, the word is simply monogenes. And in translation, you have to go back in history where there was this great fight, all right, over the deity of Christ. Is Jesus created being, or is Jesus an eternal being, means he is God? All right, the eternal God or a created being. There was a huge fight. And of course, the church came out, a lot of debates, and they came to a very clear conclusion from theology across the Bible. Jesus Christ is God. Right? Is God. So, now, but John 3:16, God gave his, in Greek is monogenes son, God gave his only son. Now, why did they choose to translate monogenes as only begotten? Because of the conflict then, right? So, over time, the very clear terms used for Christ's sonship, because the church came up with statements, all right? The various council came up with very clear statements. They would use only begotten to refer to Christ. So naturally, from what we understand, at translation, people would, when they reach Christ, they will put only begotten, especially in this verse. Okay, so that is how it came about, from what we can trace. But the question still remains: what is the meaning of only begotten? Now, why Christ only begotten? Isaac also only begotten, and some more, Isaac was not the only, right? So now the word monogenes. Now there are some Greek words that are very difficult to to say this is the only, meaning it has a wide range of meaning and nuance and all that. All right? There are some words that I remember when I was a student, some Greek words or some Hebrew words, that whenever I see, I really tremble. Because it can mean so many things. You really have to use theology, context and everything to translate it into the right word. Right? Now, so monogenes can be only, but mono means one. Mono itself, right? Not stereo. Genes is generation. Now, how do you now have a translation into English with the theology intact? Now, that is the challenge. Now, when we begin to study this word, monogenes, and you see that when it's applied to Isaac, I'm talking about English word, only begotten, when applied to Isaac, the emphasis is not about being only. Because in Isaac's case, it's clear. So the KJV translators, they are very precise and very intelligent. All right? They know this monogenes does not refer to only child. Because Isaac was not the only child, but that they use monogenes. They use only begotten. So number one, it's not about only. That is why the translators, they say one and only is incorrect. Straight away it's incorrect because other parts of scriptures already say we are sons. So they are very precise. They won't want to say one and only because that is not what the nuance means. Or rather the emphasis means. Not about single one only. All right? Now, but it is referring to a singled out one. So it is not just any son, but it's a particular singled out son, which is the Son of God. So that is the first emphasis. Now, the second thing about genes is this. The emphasis is about, not about generation, means being produced, being created. Because once it is about that, then it is about Christ at the beginning, in that sense. So this Greek word, the genes, the real emphasis is on the substance. The substance, all right? So why would they apply monogenes? Why would they say only begotten to Isaac as well as to Christ? The emphasis is substance. In Isaac's case, Isaac is from human. Isaac is human. All right? Isaac is not the only, but he is a particular one. Mono, a particular one. A particular one of a certain essence. So Isaac is particularly one that God intended to be part of the line. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. It's a particular one, and Isaac is out of the essence, came out of Abraham. All right? Not Sarah had another child with another man or what, but a very particular one, and it's from Isaac. It is from Abraham. Right? It emphasizes that. So when the Lord Jesus Christ, it accurately translates only begotten. The nuance and usage of the word. Are you falling still? Okay. It is not that Jesus is the only one, because we know it is not. So they are correct. It is not that, and the emphasis is not about Jesus is being created. Jesus was created. Emphasis is he is of the same essence as God the Father. That is what it means. All right? So only begotten, they well use it to try and help us understand. It's not just about the only, it's not just about came out of, but the real emphasis of only begotten usage is particular one that is of the same essence. Of the same essence, all right? So now this question, anyone don't understand? No. Maybe it's so bad until don't even know what to ask, is it? All right, so I just hope you understand. That is why they translate it that way, although it's the same word. Now this person says, I'm wondering if the difference in translation will undermine this also. Yes. So it is a good translation to use only begotten to differentiate and make clear when God says that what God is trying to emphasize to us. When God is not talking about, a particular, just one child, right? They know, and they translate only daughter, only son. Isaac's case, they know it's a certain particular emphasis. They use only begotten. Christ, particular emphasis, they use only begotten. Right? So, will we lose some? Yes, and I think this is where some of the cults take advantage of these not so good translations to say, well, our only Son. And very likely say, created, came from the Father. So they don't understand all these difficulties in translating from a language to another language. Okay? So, yes, many of these got lost. So maybe I summarize. In the Nicene Creed, there are three elements of this eternal generation of the Son. So notice, it's gene, so it's generation, but it's about eternal generations. It means coexisting always, from eternity to eternity, and they emphasize three things. Now it says, number one is eternal. It's eternal. That is why this monogenes is not simply about at some point of time it got generated. At some point of time it got created. So monogenes is not just that. Right? For human being, yes, it's that. So the usage of the word is about in existence. Number two, distinct from creation. So it's not give birth to. It's not talking about God the Father gave birth to. All right? But it's not about talking about creation. Then the third one, the emphasis is, it puts the Son in possession of the full divine nature. I mentioned the essence. Okay, so I hope I've answered this question. Now with this, you'll find that in the KJV, in various places, in the John, in 1 John, you will see that the Bible uses only begotten, but in NIV, for example, you would not find that, and you will find one and only, which is not accurate. Okay, not accurate. If a theological problem comes up, then only begotten will defend it very well, but only one and only will fail. Okay, so it's a good translation. So lastly, it is a crucial Christian doctrine. Right? The only begottenness of Son of Christ is a crucial Christian doctrine, which in translation I think is good that they make it known well. Okay? What do we have here? Top 5 reasons why church dropouts, what church dropouts say, why they stop attending church. Now please remember 66% of, well, I take the American view, they are the most readily available results, they stop attending church at least a year after turning 18. So from